Who are the people that have impacted your faith? On November 1st, the Anglican Church marks the principal feast of All Saints. All Saints has origins in the 4th century when churches in the East began to celebrate the feast of the martyrs of the whole world on the Sunday after Pentecost. Eventually, the festival was assigned to the date of November 1st, and the feast included all of the saints. The book For All the Saints describes a saint as a Christian who, in various ways, often against great odds, showed an extraordinary love for Christ. In the Anglican tradition, saints continue to be our partners and fellow servants before the face of God's glory. Following this festival on the 1st, on November 2nd, we commemorate all the faithful departed on All Souls. On this day, we remember all the faithful departed who are now with God in Christ Jesus, especially remembering those who have touched our own lives and our community's life, whose good works have sustained and enhanced the ongoing life of our Christian community. As these 2 days quickly approach, I have had on my mind those people in my life who have impacted my faith, those who will continue to be my partner and fellow servant before the face of God, whether they are physically with me now or they are the faithfully departed. The first person who has impacted my faith is my maternal grandmother. My grandmother lived with my family growing up and now continues to live only a few minutes away. I remember her presence so vividly in my childhood. Not just the games, the walks to school, or days we would spend together, but I remember her faith. My grandmother was born a Hindu, but eventually baptized into the Anglican tradition before she married my grandfather, also an Anglican. In many ways, the way my grandmother practices her Christian faith includes many customs and practices of the Hindu tradition, because that is the practice of which she comes out of. This is quite the norm in my multi-faith household growing up. I remember every morning my grandmother getting up at least an hour early to be in prayer. She had a little area of the house that was filled with things that were important to her faith, and she would stand there each morning and each evening praying. Most of the time, it was in a different language, and I didn't know what she was praying about, but sometimes I would stand with her just watching and feeling a calm. She would do this every day and still does, regardless of what is going on in her life. My grandmother has a faith like I have never seen before, and we don't even talk about it that often. It's just something that I have observed over the years, and it has inspired my own faith, my own exploration of prayer, and my own understanding of God. A second woman who has impacted my faith is one I have not even met, the Reverend Florence Lee Tim Oy. Bishop Andrew recently wrote a pastoral letter to the clergy in the diocese that spoke of her. Born in 1907, the Reverend Florence Lee Tim Oy served in the Anglican community in Hong Kong during the Second World War. She became the first woman to be ordained to the priesthood in the Anglican Communion on January 25th, 1944. Her ordination sparked outrage in many parts of the church, and she later resigned her license, though not her priest's orders. For many years after the war, she was deemed a counter-revolutionary by the government and forced to work on a farm, then in a factory, and undergo political re-education. In retirement, she immigrated to Canada and served as an assistant priest in the Diocese of Toronto, where she spent the remainder of her life. Trinity College awarded her an honorary degree in 1991. She died at the age of 84 and is memorialized in the Anglican Church of Canada's liturgical calendar on February 26th, the date of her death. In seminary school, I wrote an essay about the Reverend Florence Lee Tim Oy and was absolutely inspired. I was inspired by her bravery, her faith, and by her love for the people around her in such a difficult time. Today, I am surrounded by many female clerics, and I am grateful for their example and their leadership. But I know it all began with the Reverend Florence Lee Tim Oy. I am honored to follow in her footsteps, and I will continue to be inspired by her ministry for the rest of my life. I invite you to reflect on this question yourself. Who are the people that have impacted your faith, living or passed on? Who are the saints that inspire you? Let us remember them and pray with them and for them, especially in the week ahead. It is an honor to grow in faith together, even while apart.